So I'm grabbing my book, in this case my Bible, and I'm just opening it up flat, as you can see, and then I'm just going to grab my chalk and I'm marking the corners or the edges of the book. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab my meter ruler and I'm just connecting those dots. What I'm also doing is I'm going to add 3 inches to the markings that we've made on the sides as well, just so that I can have that kind of overlap book cover effect. And the last thing that I'm going to do is add 1/2 inch seam allowance to the top and the bottom of the book cover as well, as you can see. And I'm just going to connect all of those dots and then I can cut that out. So you want to cut out 2 identical pieces. You also need 2 identical pieces of iron-on interfacing that you can cut out as well. So this is actually my first time using iron-on interfacing, believe it or not. And what you want to do is attach the interfacing to the book cover pieces is the shiny side. There will be a shiny side, as much as you might not be able to see it on camera, is a side that should be facing the back of the fabric, so the brighter side of our denim fabric if you are using denim. And then I'm just going to iron that on, and then I'm going to come back and trim off whatever excess little bits of interfacing are sticking out, and then we have our 2 pieces ready to be stitched. So I'm laying one piece on top of the other like this, and then I'm just going to stitch around it. You want to make sure you leave about 2 inches unsewn, just so that you can turn the fabric right side out afterwards. And I used 1/2 inch seam allowance to do it. I'm trimming off the excess threads, and I'm also trimming the corners, as you can see, and that's going to help make sure that when we do flip it inside out, those corners kind of lay flat and they're not bulky. And then what I'm going to do is try as best as possible to flip this inside out using my fingers. Small hands or fingers definitely help for this step, but you can always use your seam allowance to make the gap wider if you need to, and that's going to help you pull the fabric right side out. So I've tucked my raw edges in, and then I'm just again taking my book and making sure that it fits the way that I want it to, so I can see if there's any adjustments that I need to make. So I'm using my chalk to mark where the book kind of folds, and that's going to help me figure out how much of this flap or how large the flap is going to be. I actually don't know the proper name for this, but I want like a book flap or bookmark thingy that I want to add to my book cover as well. So I'm stitching about a 1/2 inch wide strip, and then I'm going to cut that out and flip it inside out. I've also cut out a bit of elastic that is about the length of my book or my Bible, and then I'm going to insert that into the strip as well. I wanted to kind of have a ruched effect, so the length that I cut for the strip was longer than the length of the elastic, if that makes sense. I'm putting that strip to the side for a sec, just because I want to fold my book cover at the chalked marking, so that is where the flap of the book cover is going to be. So I'm just folding that down on both sides, and then I'm going to use my clips to clip that in place, and then I'm going to grab my strip or bookmark thingy, whatever you want to call it, and I'm going to add that where I want it to sit on the book cover as well. So I'm going to stitch our ruched elastic onto the book cover, and I'm also going to do a straight stitch across the entirety of the top and the bottom of the book cover, and instead of using the regular denim thread, I'm going to use a top stitch thread that is kind of a brown colour, just so it kind of has that authentic denim like look to it. Now I can move on to the final step, that is stitching the flaps together or stitching the flaps closed. And for this, just because the fabric was so thick, I ended up using my handy dandy needle and thread, so hand sewing. So I'm just threading my needle, and I'm going to do as many stitches backward and forward, or like an overlap stitch kind of ish, to kind of stitch across back and forth until the flaps are secure and stitched together, and I'm doing that for all 4 corners until they are neat and secure. I've done it this way as well just because my book cover was going to fit quite snugly, so I wanted to do it this way just so that I could maximize that amount of, like, I guess, seam allowance or room that my book had to actually fit into this cover. Make sure that you're double knotting and trimming off excess threads so it's neat as well. And then I'm slipping my book or Bible into my book cover. As you can see, it was a snug fit, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but I do like how this came out. I'm thinking about maybe doing like a bleach dye on the denim to make it look a bit more, you know, a bit more spicy. But let me know what you guys think. And then the additional step that I kind of did, and this I guess is if you're doing it for a Bible cover as well, is I got these really cute Bible tabs or index tabs that I added throughout my Bible as well, to just to give it a bit more of like an exciting bite to it. So this is going to be my study Bible, so I definitely want to have it on hand for doing stuff like that. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this book cover. If you did find it helpful, then make sure you like and subscribe so I can keep doing videos like this.